In 2022, a girl thought, what if I finally follow my dreams? What if I don't wait for someone else to make it happen? Here we are, 2026, 4 years later, and I am following my dreams. Let's talk about the best and worst things about being an indie artist. I have been an indie artist, which stands for independent artist. I have been an indie artist for 4 years, since 2022. And I would say, honestly, the first year-ish was mostly just me learning how to produce music and starting to work my way into the music business and slowly starting to actually release music. The first single that I released on Spotify and streaming in general was at the end of 2022. So I would say I kind of marked that as the real start, and everything else before that was really just gearing up and learning. So in the end, it's probably been more like 3 years of being an indie artist and 4 years of trying my best. Trying my genuinely my best. As an indie artist and everything that entails, I have some mixed emotions. A lot of them are good, but there are definitely also sides to being an indie artist that are not fantastic. So let's get into that today. What is the good? What is the bad? What is the medium? The in-between? I'll talk about some of these things and how I've experienced them. And if you're also an indie artist, or if you want to be one, share your thoughts. I don't actually want to start with just the good or just the bad. I kind of want to do it alternating. So it's not so, oh my God, it's so good at first. And then it's like, oh my God, it's so bad in the end. So we're going to start with a good one and then we're going to do a not so good one. One of the fantastic things about being an indie artist, and this is probably one of the strongest points, total creative control. Nobody else is trying to control you at any point because nobody can. Like, you can do exactly what you want. You can put out the music you want. You can pivot. You can change genre. You can put out the lyrics that you want. You can do pretty much anything. Whatever you want. And that's the thing with having a label. You never have full creative control. No matter how big a star you are, there is always a label, aka a company behind you, that has some level of control. That doesn't mean that artists don't have a lot of creative input. Some artists definitely do, and some artists really use that. But in the end, a label will still always have to okay it. I don't have that. I can do whatever the heck I want. I can be a lover one year and the villain the next year. Nobody's gonna say no. If I don't say no, that is. But I'm not. Let's go to a bad one. The lack of community, especially at the beginning. It's really tough to build community, and I'm not just talking like a fan community here, which is really, really, really difficult as an indie artist, but I'm talking about other musicians or other artists. This is a really difficult thing, especially if you maybe had some sort of music community and then you move to a different city or to a different country. You're going to have to start anew. It's really difficult. I would say that I have managed to have a little bit of a music community through a music production workshop that I've done, where I've also done collaborations with some of those artists that were part of the workshop. I have also managed to find some sort of community on Threads. Threads is really good for this. There are a lot of really lovely people on there that are really supportive of each other, and I try my best to contribute to that, of course, as well. That is definitely one of the good sides when you find that community, or when you find some people that contribute to your community and you, of course, to theirs. But it takes a really long time to get there, and you have nobody who helps you with networking. That's something that companies also would do, like a label, an entertainment company. They would help you with that. Like, as an indie artist, you're going to have to do it by yourself. The next really positive thing is time management. I can manage my time however I want. Nobody is relying on me. I don't have to pay anyone. I can just decide when I do what. I can do everything according to my own timing and schedule and how I need to rest and what works for me. Nobody is controlling how and when I put something out. There is no time pressure outside of the one that I create for myself, which I do too sometimes. So if I want to put out 5 singles in a year, that's okay. If I want to put out 5 singles and an EP in a year, that's okay. If I want to put out 1 single and nothing else in a year, that's okay too, because I can manage my time how I want to, and nobody's going to interfere with that. And that's a really good thing. Another not so good thing is you have no help. Of course, you can outsource some of the things you do, like mixing or mastering or both. You can get a team when you grow big enough and have the money for it. Like you can get somebody to help you with the social media, to be an assistant, to manage you, to do the bookings, handle the bookings. But when you're not at that point yet, you have no help. I have somebody who does mastering for my songs. That's the thing I outsource, and that's it. That's it. So that can be really tough and really tiring, because in the end, a music career, big or small, you will sink money into it. And it takes a really long time to get that back. But it would be better and easier if you had help, and it would work quicker for the returns to come back. But you need money to hire that help, and you don't usually have that as an indie artist. It's kind of a vicious circle, but there's honestly nothing you can do about this one outside of just pushing through until you get to a point where you can get help. Another really cool thing is I can choose who I want to work with. I can choose who does my mixing and or mastering. I have a mastering engineer who does that for me. I can choose who to collaborate with. I can choose who to co-produce with or songwrite with. I can choose to do exactly what I want with my music. And that is really good, because with a label, collaborations, because especially with artists from different labels, collaborations can be a little bit more of a headache. It's a logistical nightmare, possibly. Or if it's not a logistical nightmare, it at least takes a lot of time to arrange all of that. And for me, the thing is, I can literally just go up to an artist that I've already communicated with and be like, how about we collaborate with each other? And they're either going to be like, I'll think about it. Yes. Or no. That's the thing to it. That's how easy it is. I can work with anybody I want. I can ask anybody I want. And no label is going to say, no, you cannot work with that person. We have beef with their label. Or beef with their representative or whatever. Nothing like that. I can just choose freely. On to a very big one of the bad ones. Building an audience and like a fan community. Like core fans, super fans. It's really tough and it takes a really long time. With a company, with a label, that would be a lot easier because they have the connections. They can get you on the radio. They can get you interviews. They can get you exposure. As an indie artist, that's a lot tougher. Of course, in the days of social media, there's possibility. But at the same time, there are so many artists constantly fighting for people's attention on social media, online. It's a really tough business these days. It's so overcrowded. There's so much on offer and not enough takers in the end. So most of us, we don't have massive fan communities. We don't, or even large ones. Most of us have really small ones of just a few dozen people who really genuinely listen to every release that we have, every music video we put out, all of that. We only have a few people like that. And of course, every person is worth a lot to us and we appreciate every single one of them. But to make a music career sustainable, you need more than that. You need more than like a dozen people or 24 people who really listen to all that you make. It's a start, and I love that people are listening and are coming back to listen as well. But I wish it were easier to build an audience and to find the people who would really vibe with my music, because I think that's the biggest problem. I have some decent music out there. It's just really hard to find the people, like to target the people that would actually appreciate that music. Still working on that. I'm trying to be consistent and persistent. We're gonna get there. We're gonna find those people. Another point that is good is I can be flexible. I don't have to have everything planned out for the next 1 to 5 years. In the music industry, planning ahead is crucial, especially if you're a bigger artist. A lot of bigger artists have at least the next 2 years, at least roughly planned out. And the following year, like the upcoming year, that's always like really tightly packed and scheduled. They know everything about that, or almost everything. Many bigger artists have even further planned than that. And I don't have to have that. I do have plans, and some vague ones for the next 5 years and for the next 3 years, but slightly more for the next year. But I can be flexible about that. My plans can change according to my life circumstances. That's part of obviously having to be a little bit flexible, because this is not my full-time job. I only make a little bit of money from making music. I have to be a little bit flexible with it according to life circumstances and my actual job and things like that. So flexibility as an indie artist who doesn't have this full-time job is a must, but it's also a fun thing because I can change my schedule around how I want. And if I want to go on a holiday, then I can do that. Then the music will just come out a week later. It's not a big deal either. Now on to a thing that is kind of bad, but also kind of just a thought. What if I never make it? What if I never have success? And of course, success is defined by how I define it for myself. But what if I never reach my goals? This is a thought that, thinking about it, kind of makes me sad, as you can maybe tell. I want to do really big things with my music, but it's not easy. I'm also not somebody who just gives up. So I will keep making music because I can't not do it. Music is my favorite thing to do in the world. I love nothing more than singing. And if I don't get to stand on big stages and go on world tours and win awards and stuff like that, then maybe I don't. But at least I kept trying. At least I kept chasing the dream that I've had since I was 5 years old. And creating music is something that I enjoy massively. I'm in it for that, for the in-the-moment joy that it brings me. And yes, I have big dreams and big goals. Maybe I'll reach them someday. One never knows. The conclusion for me is, I love it. I love being an indie artist. But it's also really tough sometimes. I enjoy the flexibility in so many areas that comes with it. The creative freedom especially. But that doesn't take away the fact that it's hard. And that sometimes it's not very rewarding, and that it feels like you're screaming into the void a lot of the time. And that can be frustrating sometimes when there is no payoff for hundreds of hours of work that you've put into something. But in the end, I'm not doing it for anybody besides me. Though I, of course, appreciate every single person that comes and joins me on my journey. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for that little girl, that 5-year-old little girl that loved nothing more than singing along loudly and probably very false to Billy Idol. I'm doing it for 16-year-old me, who wanted nothing more than to be a singer, but who was honestly too shy to follow that dream. I'm doing it for 21-year-old me, who was so lost, and who slowly returned to music because that was the only thing that had ever really given her stability and had always been there in her life. For 24-year-old me, who was like, well, if I don't follow my dream now, when am I going to do it? I'm doing it for me. Me in the future, so she doesn't have to be sad about never actually trying. Because the worst thing is asking yourself at some point in the future, what if I had? What if I had just done it? Instead, I just do and do and do. Maybe it will pay off. Maybe it won't. But I'm going to be having a good time while I do all of this. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you again soon. Bye. HSV or something.